want to give opportunities for members from our community to come together and discuss these issues that are with the uh, situation, COVID-19, and obviously what they feel is important and what it helps to better understand what services can meet the needs of the community.
I spend a lot of time in house, inside. We my family had a special relationship with the virus. With so my husband was in coma for a long time. Thanks God he's back home now. He's good. He's recovering. I know it could be really tricky. I don't buy things that are on the telly.
Yeah.
I just know that my husband came back home in one morning and he went to hospital, came back in June. So this is what I know about COVID-19. It's a very close look, closer than I know there are a lot of people struggling out there from many points of view, mental health, being scared about sending kids to school,
Yeah.
and many aspects.
My first question that I want to ask you: what challenges has COVID-19 caused on you as a person and as a community?
I think, obviously, thank God, let's say, we haven't been affected directly, and I didn't have anyone in my family who was. But I think for me as a person directly, I think psychologically it was a very challenging thing. The working from home situation, it is fine now, obviously, because I've got used to it. But it was a really big challenge because just one day you've grabbed whatever you did at the office, like there was a World War III coming or something, and then you just start working from home in a completely new environment without anyone. For me, I felt really lonely at first. And obviously, I think seeing my family, because they also live in the UK, but not in Nottingham, it did affect me because I wasn't able to see them. So I think for me it was more of a psychological thing, let's say, especially now as well, because my grandpa passed away 2 days ago. So I'm not able to, thank you, I'm not able to be there for the funeral. And obviously this situation is something that you didn't expect. So you need to see how you deal with it psychologically. So for me, I think this was although I wasn't indirect with the virus, let's say, direct contact, but yeah, it does change a lot. And I think everything changed for everyone. Well, definitely.
Just to summarize, I mean, obviously this situation has affected your work experience as well, and obviously, like you said, your uh, family relationship as well, because of the
Yes.
distance and you can't travel and so on.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to talk about children related to my job, and I feel lucky because my job actually it's also my passion. So a lot of children struggling. Okay, let's start with the schoolwork, and actually let's start with the first lockdown. Probably we saw on Facebook so many situation, um, people complaining about the virus, and then parents complaining about not being able to stay on top of everything, because this is a big mistake. People want to stay on top of everything. Not only children were like struggling with schoolwork, were also parents, and I really want to underline here our Romanian parents. They don't speak English, and they were like first time ever in a very new situation. They couldn't help their own children with the schoolwork because they were not trained to do that. They're not teachers. Maybe they can understand all the everything in Romanian language, but not in English language. And it's of mixture of feelings, frustration, not being able to understand your child, or not able to understand parents. So we have parents and children struggling because of the schoolwork, and then we have all our active kids trapped inside house. In my situation, because I have a boy, he's 10, even if sometimes I was like really concerned because he's into video games, it was the first time ever when I realized that actually playing video games with his classmates was like kind of salvation for them. But I didn't have problem with this side of video games. But I know a lot of parents like not being able to keep under control the situation of video games. Parents working from home, frustrating that they cannot keep on top of work, housekeeping, what the children are watching on YouTube, and as I said, a lot of struggle.
The children, the youngsters, they were affected as well, in one way or another. But from your own point of view, how difficult it was for you or for people around you to access health services or to buy food from shops during all this pandemic situation? I mean, was it difficult?
I was lucky because I have very good friends around. The Romanian community was like brilliant in terms of supporting family. Because I was poorly, Aline was in hospital. I started a new job, really difficult and challenging. We had friends coming in front of our house. We had friends sending food, chocolate Easter eggs in front of the door for Mate. I was quite lucky, but not everybody was in the same situation as me. A lot of people were like lonely. A lot of people didn't have like the courage to ask. I didn't ask. That's why I'm saying that I was so lucky. I didn't ask for anything. I just had people coming to see me. But I know a lot of situations like Romanian people that they were like really struggling because they didn't want to ask anything. They didn't want to admit that they were in very difficult situation, and at least, as I said before, a very low um, level of self-esteem
Mhm.
and a lot of stress. Um, and this leads again to another thing: low immunity, and this is probably the worst time in our life to have a low immunity system. It's really my opinion is that is a very strong chain. So it's up to us as a community to keep it as a strong and positive chain, or to be like I don't know, a different kind of chain, a chain that can make us prisoners in our lives, in our houses, and in our mind. So we really, this is the best time to keep together, to stick together. And I think that this conversation is probably at the right time.
Did you have to use health services? Do you have any issues accessing them or using them, like GPs and?
I did. I've had I've had an issue going on for a while, and obviously it was already hard. I think it was a struggle to be able to see your GP even before the virus.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get an appointment. It takes ages. So from this point of view, the situation was already down, let's say. Obviously now, I'm not sure if it's the same for every surgery, but my surgery, they don't do any face-to-face appointments unless obviously they really have to. So they tend to do a telephone book appointment at first, which is fine, obviously, as long as you can speak to someone. But I was really surprised that even to have a telephone appointment, it still takes ages. Although you would think that, you know, it should be more straightforward when you speak to the patient over the phone rather than having to see the person face to face.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's the case. But yeah, I did have, I was in really bad pain. So I called to see my GP. Obviously I wasn't able to, and I've got a telephone appointment, but it was in a week and a half, which it is a bit of a struggle. But then at the same time, once I've had the phone call, the GP decided that I should go and see her. And I did the very same days. And I've had some investigations, blood tests and basic stuff. But I was able to go down at the same day, which it was a good thing, to be honest. Now, in terms of further investigations, which I will need to have, it probably is because that's how it was before, that it takes ages to be able to make an appointment with physio team, for example, or, you know, screening to get x-rays or CT scans or everything. I think it already took a while before, so I'm not sure if this was very, very affected from this point of view. But yeah, I think it is. I think people tend to. I felt like I'm not going to call the GP because, come on, it's the pandemic, and I'm not going to call the GP for something which is not really an emergency.
Yeah.
Although I was in really bad pain, but it wasn't something that I couldn't deal with ibuprofen and stuff. I should have been okay. So I think maybe, I'm not sure if I'm the only one who tends to kind of ignore this, because you don't really want to go to A&E for just a little bit of pain, which probably I would have done before. If I was in pain, I would have probably done it before. But now I'm thinking, you know, there's people with serious problems, maybe people who really need to see the doctors. So I'm not sure if it probably was affected, but I didn't see a really, really big difference in the system itself, to be honest. But that was just my experience. So
Were you a bit scared when you tried actually to access the GP services? Were you afraid to go to GP not to catch the virus?
I did have a bit of a weird feeling, but to be honest with you, I was advised to stay in the car when I arrived at the surgery, so I didn't. There's no waiting in the waiting area. The doctor asked me if I can drive there, so I don't have to actually stand in the rain until she's going to come out for me. So I stayed in the car for 10 minutes until she managed to finish the appointment before. Then we walked in. I used sanitizer. She did. So I did feel quite safe, to be honest. Probably more safe than other places. Like, you know, when you go to the shop, when you go to shopping centers, or well, now you can't anymore. But before, when you could, I feel that sometimes I think that even supermarkets are not really the safest place. People are not wearing masks all the time. I've seen a lot of workers that don't wear masks, and they never did. It depends on the shop, yeah. So you can choose which shop you can go to. But I think, yeah, not everyone is taking all the precaution, let's say. So I did feel more safe at the surgery than the supermarket, to be honest.
Good.
Yeah, as mother said, I had the same feeling when I went with Ali, my husband, to the hospital to scan. Even it was like a hospital, I felt more safe than every morning when I go to school to drop off my son. There are lots of parents in front of the school not wearing masks, like not keeping social distancing. Yeah, it's one of the places that you cannot choose to go or not. We have to take our children to school, but it's our choice just to keep the distance and to choose what to do to stay safe. Yeah, but I have somebody coming with the medication, knocking on the door, ringing before that, like in the morning. And yes, I have the medicine delivered to my house. It's a really, really good experience. Yeah, I think this is something that people can actually ask. Not all pharmacies are able to offer this service, but most of them, yes, they can do it. But you have to ask.
How did you cope with loneliness and disengagement. How did you cope with the fact that you were not able to socialize like you did before? I mean, obviously, we all felt more lonely because we were inside all the time, and we were not able to socialize with friends, family, and so on.
It did. I'll go first because I did have a very good social life before. Let's say there was no weekend when I won't see my friends,
There was
not
no
go
weekend
out that
inside.
much. Yeah, but there was no Saturday night for us to be at home. We
Yeah,
would either be at friends. Lately, we were going clubbing, which obviously you can't do anymore, and you probably won't be able to do soon again. So yeah, I think I found it very, very hard. Like I said at the beginning as well, I found it very hard to deal with this and not been able. And I felt like even the relationship between me and my friends, although nothing technically has changed, you feel different about it. You feel like you're not part. I felt like I wasn't part of their lives anymore. Speak to them as much, although speak to them more than you did before. Although it wasn't face to face, but you had more time to do this, and they did too, because there were a lot of my friends were furloughed as well, so they were all day at home. Um, but I did feel quite weird about it. And like I said, not being able to visit my family, it was a bit frustrating. Um, I was lucky, or I am lucky that obviously I don't live on my own, so it wasn't the worst. But I did feel, and I still feel like it's really difficult, that you have to book holidays from work and you can't even go to town for a coffee with your friends, let alone the fact that you can't travel abroad or different countries or go back home, which is a struggle again now. So yeah, I do feel that I think this was the part that has I was affected by the most. The fact that I can't see. I'm a very friendly person, and I love socializing and I love meeting people. So yeah, I feel everything is so, even this. I mean, this would have never happened before. It would have been much more better if we could all sit around the table and this debate, or let's call it a debate, but this conversation, it would have been, I'm sure it would have been much better if it was face to face. But
yeah,
yeah, well, it is what it is.
Yeah, that
yeah.
was the reason for asking to see your faces, because it's different. If I know that you or Mari is gonna call me, I know that it is like a normal telephone call. I
Yeah.
won't be able to see your face, but I had the icon with video in front of me, and I really wanted to click that. I really wanted to see, because it's at least this is what I can do.
Yeah,
I
tell
cannot
them this.
come. Yeah, I cannot come to your house. You cannot come to my house. It's like a basic need to see face that you know,
Mm.
that you really really miss. Everything was so nice and pink and yeah, all rainbows. And suddenly, the beginning of April, we started to see a different kind of rainbows just in our windows, but just the view from outside was really really difficult, um, and really scary. But probably the fact that I was in a very bad situation with my husband being in hospital in coma, I decided not to be frustrated because of my job, and I choose to be grateful that he decided to stay with us. So I wasn't really bothered about the social part. I was really grateful that we, as a family, are still together. But it's still really, really weird. Um, it's the first time when I didn't go on holiday. I love camping. I couldn't go camping. Um, the campsites were open just for a short while. Um, but because we as a family were not really well, we couldn't take that opportunity. We are all allowed to have ups and downs now, especially now. But in the same time, we have to keep an eye on, around us. And if we see that somebody is going down, I mean, really, really down, we need to be there for them.
You know, because of all this situation, we had to keep social distancing and so on, and we had to use this technology as much as possible. To be honest, I've never heard about Zoom until this COVID-19.
Anyone do, I
Never,
think, and
never
I
used it.
it.
Did
Yeah,
you?
I think so. From this pandemic, I can see this at work, because before the pandemic, no one thought that we can actually work remotely so
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
We are registering people to come and work for us, and there's a lot of paperwork to do, and there are a lot of rules that you need to follow, and you shouldn't miss any tick. And still we can do this perfectly fine, and it's getting busier and busier. Obviously with the Christmas coming up, it's
yeah.
getting ramped, but this has just saved us. I think the technology is just wow. Even these
But
Zoom things, and I didn't even know you can have meetings and with so many people, with 20 people all in one go, and it's amazing.
yeah, this discussion takes us to my next question. What was uh, how do you feel um, the access to media and technology uh, has affected us as a community, and as a person? I mean, obviously, we need to take into consideration the fact that uh, some of uh, our members from our community did not, they have no technology skills. They don't know how to use Zoom or other software.
This is, yeah, I think it is a hard part, let's say, because yeah, we don't take into consideration the fact that not everyone's got access to internet, smartphones, or even if they do, they might not know how to deal with all
Yeah,
this technology that we have available. At the same time, it is the only way that you can work at the moment, or not the only way, but probably the safest, because there are ways where you can still meet people for certain projects or business, but it's not ideal. So yeah, I think this is a problem, and it probably would be in our community, for people to deal with technology, and how everything has already developed so much in just a few months. I feel like it would be, but I don't know. What do you think, guys?
Good side of this. Sorry, Mari.
now I just wanted to ask you, do you know people who were not able to socialize because of the lack of IT skills?
I don't, but probably there are a lot of people in this situation.
Okay. You want to say something, Ramon?
Yeah, I want to say that a good side of this um, dependence of technology that we're living right now um, pushed us a bit to get out of our boxes, our corners, and uh, get out to search for the information that we need.
Mhm.
Uh, I appreciate the fact that not everybody is able to do this from I don't know, different reasons, language barrier, um, ego.
Yeah.
As I said, there are a lot of people, even some of my friends, that are like struggling, not um, um, they didn't want you to share the fact that they really have like problems, financial problems, emotional problems, um, especially I'm talking about loneliness. Um, but for most of the people, it was a chance to get out of the box, not to think outside the box. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
Um, but try to out, search information. Most of the time, before the pandemic, we had some key people that were like sharing the information out. Now being, I was gonna say trapped. No, uh, at home most of the time, we need to search for the information that we need. Um, Not everything is on Facebook. Thanks God for that.
I know.
Yeah.
Good. Um, all these challenges that we discuss about, like accessing food and shopping, health services, jobs, employment, loneliness, disengagement. Um, what do you think is being done to address these challenges? So, what do you think the uh, authorities or organizations or other people involved are doing to address these challenges, to tackle them? Are they doing something? Are they not doing?
I don't know, to be honest with you. Um,
Let's take, for example, health services.
yeah, I think. Yeah, I think if you think about it, they are trying obviously to still see people. Now, I think it depends on the situation. It depends on who you're dealing with. Um, but I guess they are trying to do what they have to do. But I think that it is still a big issue, the fact that this pandemic came very, very fast and it didn't let anyone to prepare for it. So no one knew how to deal with this. No one knew what to expect. No one knew how long it will last for. Even though we have expected a second lockdown, and I can see that things seem to be a bit more settled now. I think we still have issues in dealing with the situation. So I would assume that the authorities would have the same issue, but I haven't been in direct contact, so I don't know if you guys have more insight about it.
Yeah, I can add a few aspects. Um, Lots of projects in school, in churches, and parliament, uh, even in our association, society, let's call it. We all talk about community, but this was the moment where the community was the key, not the authorities, not is the community. It was the connection, the direct connection between peoples. Because if you want to, for example, if you want to apply for something, it takes time. But if you're hungry, you have to eat now. You cannot wait 1 month. You cannot wait till your universal credit will be approved. So you have to be strong enough just to send, if you don't want to call a friend, just send a message, say, I'm really struggling here. I really need help. I really need help today to be strong tomorrow. I'll be okay tomorrow, but today I cannot think because I'm hungry, because I don't have money to pay my contract, and my phone will die tomorrow if I don't pay today. Um, or I need to put £10 on my Leica mobile because I want to call my mom. Because I cannot go to see her, and obviously she cannot come to see me. I'm not talking about my mom, just generally speaking, because she's 70 and she's vulnerable, and we won't be able to see each other. But there are a lot of places in the community that are like giving a lot of support. And I'm talking about local churches, talking about not only Romanian church, but like really extremely, extremely supportive on this pandemic. Schools. I know schools that are like offering breakfast like children, or like putting bags of porridge or bagels or milk in front of the school gates when the schools were closed. I know many situations like doing this, and there are a lot of food banks, but we need I don't know. I think you know better this aspect. I think people need vouchers to, or like to be
Right.
somebody to refer them to them. I don't know how they really work, but in the meantime, I know a lot of people just go in with bags in front of other people's doors. I had that. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm so grateful for that. Not because I didn't have money, no, and I never asked for a piece of bread. I had people just coming in front of the door because probably they tried to walk in my shoes. And yeah, as I said before, I was lucky. But even now, there are a lot of places we just need to access them. I had an email from my son's school with a kind of like a poster about an association who's organizing a food bank from parents, and it's not addressed only to family who belongs to that school. It was something to share with the community.
What do you think it should be done that is not being done to address these issues? If you have any examples, like you know, what can be done in order to do that?
I can't really think of a straight to point, but I guess that being involved into this as much as possible. Now, obviously, I assume everyone is trying their best. So, yeah, for example, let's talk about the health industry a bit. I think that obviously people now they might need more support than ever. So I guess there could be an improvement into giving people a bit more hope from that of the GP, because they are I'm not saying that they are ignoring you, but I think that obviously being a bit more focused onto your issue. And for example, I've had my blood tests, and although I know that this is how it works and that's the protocol, that if everything looks okay, then they won't give you a call back. I did ask for them to give me a call back, so I can have a copy myself as well, which I haven't until I've chased it. So I felt, like I was a bit ignored at that point, let's say. Although, yeah, I know that if everything was okay, then yeah, I don't see any point for someone to waste their time. That's how they probably would put it. Or where they could give their time to someone else. But if I did ask for something, then I'm expecting it to be done. But this is just something very small. I could live without that, let's say. But other than that, I can't really think of anything specific that they can do point on.
I think that we should all activate a few things. Like one of them should be common sense. The other thing could be like try to walk a bit in other people's shoes, not a lot, just a bit. Encourage each other to ask for help if we need.
How do you think young people, teenagers, have been affected by this COVID-19?
Lot. My sister is 16, so I did have a direct issue with dealing with a teenager at this time. They are already hard to deal with. She was just finishing year 11, so obviously she wasn't able to have her GCSEs and everything. Just, she didn't have a leavers day, she didn't have a prom, which she was obviously so waiting for, because everyone does. Their leavers day was just the day that when they've decided, oh yeah, tomorrow is going to be the last day when you're going to be at school, and then lockdown will come up. So everything happened really fast. It was very hard, and I think for them, social life meant a lot, not to be able to see your friends and be in the house with your family, with your mom and dad that you probably don't get along with when you're 15, 16, 17. Or at least that's how our situation is, let's say. And also now she just went into college, and she felt like she wasn't able to they weren't able to integrate and meet each other properly, because obviously they do 1 week online, and then 1 week they would go to school, but they won't be they will be with their classmates, but they won't be with other people from other classes and everything. So she did find a struggle into meeting new people, which obviously was the key point for her when starting sixth form. So I think for them, social life and being able to make friends and keep friendship at this age is a bit harder than for older people, for us adults, that you can manage to speak over the phone. Although even for us it was harder, for me at least. But I think social life was spending all summer in the house, not being able to do anything when you're not at school, and not having anything to do, because they didn't really have much work to do, because obviously she finished year 11, she was going to a different school, different teachers, so they didn't really give them any work to do. So there was just a few months for them to get bored and not really do much, which I think it is a struggle. It was.
Do you think their mental health has been affected as well?
Definitely, because like I said, when you're a teenager, you don't really want to be with your mom and dad 4 months over. Not being able to go anywhere, do anything, meet your friends. You're not able to go. There was a short period of time when obviously they were able to do things, but then even then there were rules, and nothing was what they have expected. And I think for us adults it's really hard to deal with this situation and get used to it, and with this new way of living. It's very hard to expect a child or even a teenager to understand this and not be frustrated. So I think mental health was definitely an issue for them too.
For the first time, I did something that
So, yeah, I know you're very innovative. So I know you've sorted.
um, just try to adapt.
Yeah.
I don't try not to I don't know, to think too much about this term like mental health. I'm just trying to adapt. So I did things that I didn't do before, like just gave my phone to Matei, and obviously I was there with him in the same room, and said, okay, do you want to speak with somebody from your class? I said, yes, I want to speak with my friend Hayden. Okay. I went on Facebook and I just found Hayden's mom. I sent her a message. Look, I'm Matei's mom. Is it possible to make a connection between our kids? That was brilliant, honestly. So this is what I'm talking. Well, when I speak about getting out from our normal boxes, from our comfort zone, it's just to try to do something else. Because what people, what people, what we don't understand is that we need to change. And I'm not talking about the new normality. I really don't like this new term. I think that the world is constantly changing. This is what happened all the time in the past, but now it's like changing so fast and we cannot cope with this, or we don't have the power to adapt to all this, to new situation, and we collapse, we stress, we have a lot of frustration. I just want to answer strictly to your question. And in this situation, I'm not talking about other children. I just want to talk about what I did. I just try to keep in touch with people, because I really need people in my life. I cannot, like, as mother said, I really like being in contact with people. I have a big filter though, so but yeah, I love people. I love people. So I try to create a kind of comfortable zone for my son, because we are responsible for, in a way, till one certain point. Their mental health is in our hand, but when we lose control, we lose their control in the same time.